Hello and welcome to the first of 5 mini Cheltenham Festival preview podcasts that we'll record for the SBK YouTube channel, and you'll find it on Spotify and other podcatchers. Today it's myself, Tom Collins, and Mr. Ross Millar. These are going to be quick fire podcasts, maximum of 15 minutes, we hope, covering all the races at the Cheltenham Festival. We'll also be reviewing the previous day's action when possible, obviously not in this podcast, given it hasn't started just yet, but hopefully you'll get lots of insight and tips along the way. Before we get into the action, I have an offer for you. SBK has a double winnings offer. I've never heard of this before. You can use it every day of the Cheltenham Festival. That means you can choose any horse in any race each day, and you'll get paid out at double the odds if you win. Obviously, 18 plus T's and C's do apply. That does include a max stake, but it's a fantastic offer. Right, let's get into the podcast. Ross, how are you keeping? New surroundings, I see. Are you looking forward to the festival this year?
Yeah, I'm starting to get geared up now, TC. I think there's always a lull, isn't there, that week before when you get sort of 5-day decks and then invariably a few horses with a few niggles. And now we know what we've got to get our teeth into on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm starting to really look forward to it now. And we're going to start on soft ground. And the weather does look nice for the week. So there shouldn't be any excuses, really, I don't think.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly that. I was just going to come to the ground, actually. It is soft. The cross-country has heavy in places right now, but as you say, the weather is looking relatively nice for the rest of the week. So it should dry out, especially by the time we get to Thursday and Friday. Hopefully it doesn't get tacky and we get good in the going description at some point. There is a chance of showers on Monday, but actually during the festival itself, it is dry, as we've touched on. Okay, 7 races to talk about here then, Ross. The first race on Tuesday is the Supreme Novice Hurdle. 6 of the 12 runners in the race are trained by Willie Mullins. It's probably not the best renewal of the race that we've seen. Definitely not. But the Master of Clossutton's got a very strong hand. What do you think about the Supreme this year?
Yeah, I think it's really open, and as such, I'm gonna sort of try and steer away from Willie Mullins because I don't like Tully Hill and I don't like Mystical Power. I don't think they jump well enough. And I saw footage today of Mystical Power on the gallops at having a canter around Cheltenham. Look really hot and buzzy. Like he's going to need to calm down a little bit. I'd give him a chance because, of course, he's just come off the boat. Fair enough, he might be a bit excited, but I didn't see that as a positive. So already got Favour and Fortune in the book from the Tuesday pods at 50-1. Delighted to see he's running. I think he'd probably want better ground. I do like Tell Her the Name. I think he's still a nice price. And Ben Pauling had a really good weekend with his novice hurdlers taking first and second in the EBF final. But I think Slade Steel should be the favourite for this Supreme. Got the best form in the book, and they've dodged Ballyburn, and I think they've been put into the right race. Good form when beating King of Kingsfield at Naas on debut. And I don't think he truly stayed when winning the Grade 2 at Navan. That was a good performance. Beat Lecky Watson, who I think is probably a decent enough horse. I think they've ended up in the right race. I think Henry de Bromhead's going really well. So Slade Steel would be the biggest chance, I think. But I like Tell Her the Name, and obviously Favour and Fortune already in the book.
Yeah, both Tell Her the Name and Favour and Fortune big prices. Slade Steel currently 7-1. I like what you said about both the Willie Mullins horses at the top of the market. Mystical Power is definitely not for me. I really don't like the jumping. And actually, first time hood for a buzzy sort you'd consider to be a positive. I've been implored to actually tell you the stats for Willie Mullins with the first time hood. 26 from 152 since 2013. That's a 17% strike rate with a negative P&L. So not the best of stats there. And Willie's not just put a hood on Mystical Power on Tuesday. He's put a hood on a lot of his horses. So bear that in mind. I think Tully Hill's the best of the Mullins horses, but as you know, if you've watched our Ultimate podcast for the Cheltenham Festival this year, I am on Jericho de Repene at 18's anti-post. I don't love this race. I think 8-1's perfectly fair for him now. I may have a little tickle again on him. I actually thought he shaped a lot better than many people are giving him credit for last time at Doncaster. Beat a subsequent Grade 2 winner. He's done nothing wrong so far, so I will be sticking with Jericho de Repene. Right, let's move on to the Arkle. No Marine Nationale, which is sad for me because I would have liked him in this race despite how badly he ran at the DRF. So again, it's Willie Mullins with a leading hand. Gaelic Warrior's now in the race. Hunter's Yarn, Ilete Tomb, all in there. Found a 50 for Gordon Elliott. Henry de Bromhead has Quilixios. Tricky race to break down, Ross.
Yeah, it is a really tricky race. It's one of those ones where if anything wins, you're probably not going to fall off your seat with surprise. I'm a big fan of Gaelic Warrior, and I think it's notable that they've gone for the short trip on essentially the wrong track. I've got to be with him because I've just been convinced that his jumping out to the right is not as much of a problem. The fitting of the first time hood is going to go one way or the other, isn't it? I mean, he could be the sort of horse that just absolutely hates having a hood on, but it's one of these races I'm prepared to pay my money and take my chance. So Gaelic Warrior for me, and I'll split my stake between him and Hunter's Yarn, who we discussed in quite good detail on the preview pod. I mean, his best form, I think, had him up there in Marine National anyway. He has got a mistake in him, but he's fairly lightly raced. They've all got questions, and I thought he was a decent enough price.
Yeah, it's going to be Hunter's Yarn for me as well. But as you say, it's very much a trappy and open race, difficult to decipher who's going to win. Quick question before we move on, because I don't really have much more to add to Hunter's Yarn chance in this race. However, Gaelic Warrior and Hunter's Yarn, similar kind of running styles, generally go towards the front, bold jumpers, high cruising speed. Do you reckon they're going to ride Gaelic Warrior forward as well? Hunter's Yarn surely's got to make the pace.
Yeah, whether they'll perhaps try and organise Gaelic Warrior first, that might be the thing. But I think he's going to at some point have to inject pace into the race to draw out the speed from the others, because he's a horse that stays where, I mean, he won over 3 miles at the Punchestown Festival. I did look at this and I got very close to thinking Master Chewy might be the sort of value play, because if they go hard, he'll be finishing from the back, but he's got no form around an undulating track. And when he ran at Lingfield, he was a little bit below par. So that put me off him. I just think if Gaelic Warrior turns up, he is streets ahead of these horses. And I got a lot of faith in Paul Townend and Willie Mullins.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment of Gaelic Warrior. He is 7-2 because of the concerns, but he's probably the classiest horse in the race. Hunter's Yarn, the horse we talked about that I like, 6-1. You can have any price for the others. Right, let's move on to the Ultima. Britain usually dominates this race. In fact, Ireland hasn't had a winner of the Ultima since 2006 and Dundor. But Willie Mullins has the favourite yet again in this race. The first 3 favourites on Tuesday. Meeting of the Waters is the horse in question. He was purchased by JP McManus a few days ago. I quite like this horse, I have to admit. Will the Irish drought end in the Ultima, or will Britain retain their title?
Yeah, I like Meeting of the Waters, and I can see the angle. And I always think if JP's buying a horse, he's kind of doing a bit of the form work for you, because he's a legendary punter, so there's obviously something there. Just don't like the price, to be honest. And the same with the Goffer. I can see the appeal of him. He's £4 lower, and the horses that all finished ahead of him last year are significantly higher. But again, I wasn't mad giving his price. Chianti Classico, I mean, I'm boring everyone now, but I've been with this horse since he ran in at Chepstow and won over 3 miles. Soft ground he's going to like. I have no issue with the track. He ran badly last year. But I was reminded, actually, when I then came on to his next horse, Trelawn. Trelawn won over 3 miles at Uttoxeter late March last year, and it was Kim Bailey's first winner for about a month. He was just bang out of form through late February, March last year. So Chianti Classico, I have no issues with him. He's a bit shorter again, but he's still a decent price if you've missed the boat. But I do like Trelawn as well, so I'm going to play both Kim Bailey horses. This horse has been crying out for a step up in trip on soft ground. He gets that. He gets Harry Cobden. That's not a bad jockey booking. He was pretty wayward in the Toy Town at Wetherby, where he sort of hung off the track. Hopefully he won't do that here. I think he's a horse with plenty of ability off a mark of 144. And I would just give a mention for my old mate Lemilos at a big old price. This horse has got brilliant course form. He's only once been out the frame at Cheltenham. He was second in the National Hunt Chase a few years back. He's by all accounts in flying form at home. He'll love a bit of cut in the ground. Got a very light weight. He's coming down the weights and he's not running all that badly at all. Got Gavin Sheehan on board, so I will probably end up having a few pennies on him as well at a big old price.
Sorry, yeah, that was Lord de Menil, not Lemilos. Lord de Menil, but yes.
Lord de Menil.
Yeah. He's a very interesting horse off a lightweight. Chianti Classico, 8-1 right now, Trelawn 9-1. Not much separating them in the market, both of Kim Bailey's runners. A bit of money for Trelawn today, actually, with Harry Cobden booked. I'm going to be with Meeting of the Waters. I just think the penultimate win when he beat Panda Boy, a really good and consistent handicapper, was strong. I know he's short enough. He's currently 11-2, but this is a horse who's open to a lot of improvement. Okay, we'll move swiftly on to the Champion Hurdle, and it's going to be swift as well, I'm sure. This race is pretty obvious, I think, with State Man going in at a short price favourite. Constitution Hill, obviously not here to strut his stuff. Do you think it's as easy as State Man turns up and wins?
Yeah, I do, TC. The ground is no issue, is it? He's been winning through the winter on soft ground in Ireland. I think he's streets ahead of these. Irish Point, I mean, the softer the ground gets, the better his chance. But I've looked and looked and looked, and I can't find any form line that gets him anywhere near to State Man. I did say it was a race that I wouldn't have any vested interest at all, actually, but I have to confess I've had a few, and I say a few, pound on Colonel Mustard at 50-1. First time blinkers. I think he ran really well behind the Mean Lion last time on a track that probably doesn't suit him. His career best arguably came at this track in the County Hurdle 2 years ago behind State Man and First Street. Blinker's gone for the first time. We know he likes the track. There's going to be a strong pace for him to run at, I suspect. So at a big old price, especially if you're getting double odds from the SBK traders. He's worth a go, I think.
Yeah, nice each way alternative there, especially if you're looking at the place market or just each way market in general. Colonel Mustard, I think it's State Man just wins this race. And I have no punting interest in the champion hurdle this year at all. I'll just be sitting and watching. Now, that's not the case actually for the mare's hurdle, which comes up after. Lossiemouth is a short price. She's around 4 to 6, best price right now, which I think is very fair. Wouldn't be surprised if she goes off around 2 to 5. Do you think she's all but a banker, much like State Man in the previous race?
Yeah, I do, but I'm just starting to second guess myself and worry a little bit about whether the ground is going to. The ground is no issue in terms of she acts on soft ground, and the trip for me is no issue in that she won over 2 mile one, and she's only got to go a little bit further here, and she stays really well. I just started to get a bit jittery about the fact that soft ground might make it more of a stamina test, but I think she's the one. I will have a few pound each way and tell me something, girl. I thought she was running really well in this race 2 years ago when brought down. As coming back to form last time. So yeah, those are the two for me, and I'm not going to deviate. I'm going to stay strong and not get cold feet.
Tell Me Something Girl, currently 18 to 1, was as big as 25. So there are a few punters that share the same thought process as you do. Right, it gets a bit tougher in the final two races. We've had a couple of short price favourites we just talked about there. Now we move on to the Boodles for the 4-year-old juvenile hurdlers. I've had a few quid on Nadawi, who carries near top weight, but jumped and travelled like a dream last time, for a trainer in Gordon Elliott who knows how to win this, as well as Bright Legend, another Irish horse from another shrewd operation of Dennis Hogan. Ross, do you like anything here?
Yeah, well, Nadawi actually leads me into, and I should say, I've got to tell, I don't think I've ever backed the winner of this race. So, I mean, let's get that clear and make sure it's part of the clip up. But Nadawi led me into Palamon for Paul Nolan, who's obviously won a handicap here with Mrs. Milner. I thought Palamon was a real eye catcher behind Nadawi last time at Naas. Travelled very strongly into the race, was beaten 4 lengths, but I think you'd be hard pushed to say that it was the most vigorous ride in behind, and gets a £13 pull at the weights. I think this track will suit. I think a strong pace will suit. It's got a bit to find, particularly on its flat form coming into hurdling, but I did like what I saw there. And on the Ultimate Pod, I put up Balboa at a big old price. Got outpaced behind Liari at Musselburgh last time, but that wouldn't be his track. Gets a £7 pull for that for 3 lengths. Already has good course form back here in December. And like soft ground, will stay well off a strong pace. I thought there was worse 50 to 1 shots running tomorrow.
Yeah, 4 horses there that have just been recommended by Ross and myself. Palamon 22 to 1, Balboa 50s for Ross. For me and Darwin 9 to 1, Bright Legend 33. So some big prices, but this is a race where you do tend to have to put the pin in the race card, find a couple at big odds and hope they run into the frame because it is wide open. Okay, let's go straight into the finale then. We've already rattled through the rest of the card. The last race is the National Hunt Chase. Anyone who watched our Ultimate Cheltenham preview podcast will know that we have differing opinions here. I really like Corbett's Cross, despite the step up and trip being an unknown. You like Embassy Gardens for Willie Mullins. Have you changed your mind over the last few days?
No, have you changed yours, TC?
I haven't, unfortunately, mate.
No, I'm sticking with my guns. I don't know if I'm pleased to see the hood or concerned to see the hood. It's two ways of looking at it, isn't it? If they're putting the hood on, they've got a concern he can get a bit buzzy. But if they're putting a hood on, he might not get buzzy. I got to stick with my guns. I do just think he's a really classy horse. I love how he jumps. And I was heartened to see Patrick Mullins today say that he is a significantly better chaser than he was a hurdler. Yeah, I'm still with Embassy Gardens. I think he's a really classy horse in the making.
Excellent stuff. Hopefully one of us gets the winner in the finale. It'll be pretty rough if neither of us do. I did give you the Willie Mullins stats earlier with the first time hood. Applied Emmett Mullins stat now for a hood because Corbett's Cross has a hood fitted for the National Hunt Chase. Since 2017, Emmett Mullins 5 from 21, just under 25%. So a little bit better than the Willie Mullins stats, albeit the smaller sample size there for Emmett. Okay, best of luck with all your selections on Tuesday, Ross. Best of luck to everyone that's watching this from home. Let's make Cheltenham 2024 a memorable one and have plenty of winners over the course of the 4 days. Before we go, though, I should ask you for your nap and next best on Tuesday.
So the nap is going to be Embassy Gardens in the National Hunt Chase, and the next bet is going to be my old friend Gaelic Warrior as a wild one in the Arkle.
Perfect. My nap on day one is going to be a boring one, but hopefully a bit of a banker in Lossiemouth. The price is very fair. That comes. She runs in the 4:10. My next bet is going to be against Ross's nap and Corbett's Cross in the 5:30. One other offer to bring you: all new SBK customers can get £30 in free bets for the Cheltenham Festival when you sign up and place your first £10 bet. Now, please join us on Tuesday evening as we look further towards Wednesday's action and preview some of the races on Tuesday as well. Until then, best of luck and enjoy the 2024 Cheltenham Festival.